Most men find out too late. Not too late as in she has already left the house. Too late as in she has already left emotionally, and by the time he noticed, the decision inside her was already made. There is a point where a woman who has been pulling away crosses a line she does not come back from. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she ran out of hope that things would ever change. If something feels off right now, if she seems distant and you cannot explain it, you are not too late yet. But you need to hear this now. Not tomorrow, right now. But before we dive in, if you are new here, welcome. Please take a second right now to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every week we bring you powerful insights that help men understand women better, attract the right partner, and build the kind of love that actually lasts. You do not want to miss what is coming. Now let us get into it. Firstly, you need to understand something that most men never get told. And it is this. When a woman starts pulling away, she has almost always been sending signals long before that moment. The pulling away that you are noticing right now is not the beginning of the problem. It is the end of a quiet conversation she has been having with herself for weeks, sometimes months. She reached out in small ways. She brought things up. She waited for something to shift. And when nothing changed, she did not explode. She did not issue an ultimatum. She simply began the slow and painful process of emotionally protecting herself. Psychologists refer to this pattern as emotional withdrawal, and research consistently shows that it is one of the most common responses a person develops when they feel their emotional needs are going unmet inside a relationship. The silence you are sitting in right now is not emptiness. It is the sound of a woman who tried and felt unheard. The reason this is so difficult for men to catch early is that women rarely withdraw loudly. There is no single dramatic moment where everything changes. Instead, it happens in the accumulation of small things that individually seem insignificant. She stops texting you first as often. She answers your questions completely, but does not add anything extra. She makes plans with friends without mentioning them to you the way she once did. She is pleasant. She is not unkind, but the warmth that used to fill the space between you has quietly thinned. Many men miss this entirely because they are measuring the relationship by the absence of conflict, rather than the presence of genuine connection. If nobody is arguing, everything must be fine. But the absence of conflict and the presence of love are not the same thing. And a woman who has begun to withdraw knows the difference better than anyone. Secondly, you need to understand what is actually happening inside her when she pulls away, because it is not what most men assume. The common reaction when a man notices his woman going quiet is to assume she is being manipulative, playing games, or punishing him for something. And while those things can sometimes be true in specific circumstances, they are rarely what is happening when a woman genuinely withdraws. What is far more likely is that she is exhausted. Not physically tired, but emotionally depleted from giving to a relationship that has not been filling her back up. Relationship therapists describe this state as emotional burnout within a partnership, and it is remarkably common in relationships where one person has been carrying the emotional weight of the connection largely on their own. She has been the one checking in. She has been the one initiating depth. She has been the one keeping the emotional temperature of the relationship warm. And at some point, a person simply runs out of the energy to keep doing that alone. What makes this particularly painful is that she likely still loves you. Withdrawal and love are not opposites. A woman can be deeply in love with a man and still reach a point where she has to step back from the effort of sustaining a connection that does not feel mutual. The Gottman Institute, whose decades of research into relationship behavior is among the most respected in the world, found that couples who eventually separate rarely do so because love disappeared. Thirdly, and this is the part that most men find hardest to accept, the way you respond in the next few days and weeks will determine everything, not the next few months, not some distant future moment when things feel more comfortable. Right now, in the immediate window of time you are in, the choices you make about how to show up will either begin to rebuild the bridge between you or finish burning it down. The instinct for most men when they sense a woman pulling away is one of two extremes. Either they panic and pursue her with an intensity that feels desperate and actually pushes her further back, or they retreat into pride and silence, telling themselves that if she has a problem, she can bring it to them. Both of these responses, though completely understandable, are almost always the wrong move. Pursuing with panic communicates fear rather than strength. And retreating into silence communicates indifference at the exact moment she needs to feel that you care. Fourthly, what she actually needs from you right now is something that requires a kind of quiet courage that most men were never taught to practice. She needs you to notice without being told. She needs you to come toward her not with questions that sound like interrogations, but with a presence that feels genuinely safe. There is a profound difference between a man who sits beside his partner and asks what is wrong with an edge of frustration in his voice, and a man who sits beside her and simply says, "I have noticed you seem like you are carrying something, and I am here whenever you want to talk," and then actually leaves space for her to fill. The second man is not weaker. He is not passive. He is communicating something deeply powerful. He is telling her that he is paying attention, that he is not threatened by her feelings, and that she does not have to manage his reaction in order to express her own experience. Fifthly, there is a deeper truth underneath all of this that gets to the root of why women withdraw in the first place, and understanding it will change the way you see everything that has been happening between you. Women do not withdraw from relationships because they are complicated or unreasonable or impossible to please. They withdraw because they are human beings with emotional needs that have not been met, and they have reached the limit of how long they can keep hoping those needs will be noticed without having to ask again. Every woman who has ever pulled away from a man she loved has a version of the same story. She felt something. She waited to see if he would notice. He did not. She hinted at it. He missed the hint. She said something directly. He minimized it or defended himself or fixed it for a day and then returned to the same patterns. And eventually, she stopped saying it because saying it and not being heard had started to hurt more than saying nothing at all. What this means practically is that the path back to her is not through grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Those things might feel significant to you, but to a woman who has been emotionally withdrawing, a single grand gesture without a genuine change in daily behavior reads as performance, not transformation. What actually moves the needle is consistency in the small things. Asking how she is and actually listening to the answer rather than waiting for your turn to speak. Remembering something she mentioned last week and following up on it. Sitting with her in a moment of difficulty without immediately trying to fix it or redirect the conversation. If she is pulling away right now, it is not over, but it will be if you do nothing. Everything you just heard comes down to one simple truth. She does not need a perfect man. She needs a present one. A man who notices. A man who shows up before she has to ask. A man who chooses her quietly every single day, not just in the big moments, but in all the small ones that she has been keeping count of all along. You still have time. Use it. If this hit home for you today, if there was even one moment where something clicked, then do not let that feeling fade by tomorrow. Let it move you to do something different tonight. That is where change actually begins. If this video added value to your life, please give it a thumbs up right now because it helps us reach the men who need to hear this most. And if you are not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every single week, we bring you content that helps you become the man she never wants to leave.